That topic I've been waiting to talk about all week. And there is no hope in Africa.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hi guys, welcome to Kenganda. My name is Johnny Tamaya and this is the Repat Podcast. I'll let my co-hosts introduce themselves.
Hello guys, Chef Morley in the building.
Okay, perfect.
O'Shea Duke Jackson, Sacramento, California.
Okay,
DJ Maintain.
All right.
London, Caribbean Heritage.
perfect. Now you all know that at the Repat Podcast, we discuss issues affecting Africans on the continent, Africans in the diaspora, African Americans, and the Caribbeans. And on today's podcast, we are going to react to something that DJ Maintain actually said. O'Shea had to pull out the receipts and locate it, but it is. Watch it with us.
I speak to my Ugandan brethren,
Yeah.
they feel like there's no opportunity.
Oh.
Yeah, when they're looking at from the top down to where they are. When I speak to them, like people don't realize, they just think I'm out and I'm DJing, da 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 da. Like when I DJ, if I've got a gig and I'm booked, and then they ask me, yo, you can't do the whole 8 hours of the night, who are you gonna bring? I just bring my boys, my Ugandan DJs that I know. And then we sit down, we talk after, we talk about the world's ills and all that stuff. The main thing I get from my brothers is that they feel like there's no chance for progression. Yeah, they feel it's hopeless. They just feel like the people at the top is just gonna take what they wanna take and it's gonna leave us to die. That's the main like narrative I hear from my boys and my girls, my ladies, my women, my queens, right?
Okay.
It's a great.
Maintain. React to yourself, please.
Yeah, it's a real thing. All my friends that I speak to, they say the same thing. Like my boy Mos, who does a lot of my the flyers for my events and things like that. He's an amazing graphic designer. Like if he was in London with his talent and his work ethic, he'd be working for Saatchi and Saatchi.
Wait. Say that again. If he was where?
If he was in London with his talent and work ethic, he'd be working at one of the top like graphic design firms. But he's here having to deal with, you know, late payment or no payment at all,
Yeah.
or him presenting logos at a meeting and then they're not feeling it. He goes away and then he sees his logos
Being used.
being used, but in a different color, and he's got no way to get his intellectual property back. And so it just creates for me, when I see them, it just creates like we said earlier, like a crabs in a barrel mentality. And you know, whatever opportunity they do get, they go for it at the expense of sometimes others, and sometimes it's a clean transition. But it just makes me sad to be in the industry that I am, in the entertainment industry, and I'm seeing amazing talent here, whether they be rappers, singers, graphic designers, hosts, everything, and they should be making a living with their talents and work ethic, but it's just not happening. I had a friend from Ginger, his name was Courtney, and he was in the construction industry as a surveyor, and a German company saw him, sent him to Germany straight away, sent him there for a year. He got all his qualifications, got all his work experience. They brought him back to Ginger to work on the project here. Now that's just one like, you know, scenario. This must be happening all over Uganda, and a talent drain like that, and especially in such a young nation where you should be building off the back of the youth you have, because you build and educate that demographic,
Right.
and moving forward, you're one of the most powerful nations, just not on the continent, in the world.
Preach.
But it just seems like it's just a grab. I have it now. My family are good. Forget everybody else. And that's what I've come across. And it makes me sad, because there's so much potential for growth in Uganda, but it's just not being, I suppose, respected.
And it's not just Uganda, it's
Africa.
it's the black world. But let me jump in on this.
Yeah, sure.
That topic I've been waiting to talk about all week. And there is no hope in Africa. What? Now, some people are going to be mad at the title, and it is just a title.
Yeah, it's just a title.
But I also suspect, I was in South Africa. I was in Johannesburg in 2020. Remember I went to Joburg before COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
And of course, when you go to Johannesburg, the most common group of people you're going to come across, Nigerians there, but are Zimbabweans. Remember, that's why there's so much of a, what do you call that when you have a hatred for another group inside the same kind of group? They have a name for it in South Africa.
Xenophobia.
Xenophobia, there you go. So xenophobia. So when you see people progressing, now Zimbabwe might have a lot of opportunities, but I suspect that Zimbabweans say, there's no hope in Zimbabwe. So they go to South Africa, and then they flourish in South Africa. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm building it up. I'm not as good as you as last time. I'm gonna build this thing up. Now, coming to Uganda as a African American, one thing I noticed that a lot of African governments do to us as blacks, and shout out to Dr. George Ayete, who mentioned this. He's passed now. He passed this year. But he said, the diasporas, when we interact with African governments, they treat us nice because we have no idea of what the local people have went through. So when we come here, we don't have any history of trauma in Uganda or in Ghana. We just know, hey, our dollar goes a long way. People are nice to us. We get the special class treatment. And so when we want to start and do a business here, we don't have no culture of turmoil or trauma. So when you say there's no hope in Africa, we don't know what you're talking about, because for us, it's a lot of hope. Yeah. But let's transpose it to the Black Americans. When you are in America, what are African Americans saying? Ain't no hope where? In America.
Yeah.
How do we know this? Because there's a group of people that you roasted up pretty good called Passport Bros. What are the Passport Bros saying?
Yeah, there's
ain't no hope in America, right?
Right. Wow.
Is it true? I'm building, brother. I'm just warming up. Just give me.
I thought you was gonna say ain't no America.
It's a lot. Hey, don't get us canceled. But yeah. I'm building this up.
Okay.
Why do Black Americans say that? Or Black Londoners say that? Because there's trauma associated with where you're from. So when a Ugandan sees an American, because in America, there's a big, at least I noticed this. And I'm gonna let brother build on this, but I've noticed this. The last 10 years, there's been somewhat of an African-American versus Caribbean beef. It's been brewing, and an African-American versus Nigerian beef. And I noticed that some of the African brothers start doing very well. They've been letting us know. Like, you African-Americans been here for all these years, and we just got here, look at how we doing, right?
Yep.
But now, here's what I wanna say. I was in Lagos, Nigeria. Wanna know who I see thriving there? Besides Nigerians, Lebanese. Why? Because the Lebanese said ain't no hope where? In Lebanon. And so what you see is people look at where they're from and they have a traumatic experience in their homeland. That's why I always come back to say, you talk to most Africans in America. What do they tell you? I'm just gonna be honest. Africans tell you wanna go to Lagos? Man, I love you, but don't go there. This is true.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yes, it is true.
And so many, so what we got to understand is that a lot of us, we have traumatic experiences wherever we are from. And that is what's stopping us from seeing the opportunity. Now, what I want to do before we go to Brother Molly is play this clip from Go Black to Africa.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is about opportunities in Africa.
Okay. Let's hear it.
For you, because of your motor,
you're
able to open opportunities for yourself. That will put the industry on you. And you told me about how you did it with the real estate thing.
Yeah.
But you can put yourself in situations where the average person won't see the opportunity. So when I look at you, I see you have a keen understanding of there's opportunity where others don't see it is, and I need to put myself there.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Frustration. Whatever frustration. When you get frustrated at something, it tells you there's an opportunity.
Okay.
This just dropped in my spirit right here. I mean, you think about the pearl.
Right.
There's a piece of sand that goes inside of an oyster.
and it causes irritation. And because of that irritation, it by the so-called chemistry biology of that, what happens, it begins to build this outside form of that sand, and it grows and it becomes this pearl that's like, you know, it could be costly, you know, a lot of money, whatever. That frustration I look at is the same, you know, it's that irritation that gets you. Oh, that's, you know, when you're not used to something, when you just get irritated and being in a foreign land, and it's like, you know, they can't accommodate me. There's an opportunity right there.
Right.
Oh, I hate the service. They're too slow, isn't it? There's an opportunity.
There you go.
You know, so, you know, whatever irritates you or frustrates you, what have you, there's an opportunity. You know, if you can't be accommodated, if you don't like how something's ran, if you think that they could do better or whatever, those are opportunities sitting around.
And I've seen you do that since you've been here. You'll tell them straight up.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
It's not good.
All right. So I'm gonna just so you see that, right? What I want to do is let the brother build, because I'm long with it. So, brother, what do you feel about, from your experience being, you know, obviously you've worked with different black groups, African groups here. Is there hope? And I mean, what do you feel about the local people here that's watching this? Or
So I think you made a great point. We're traumatized as people wherever we're bred from.
Yes.
You know, our roots, wherever we're at, traumatizes us. So we want to look further out. My experience here so far is that the narrative is also true and a little bit swindled a bit.
Right.
I do believe that government is caking off, you know, and that isn't necessarily trickling down. But where is that not happening?
Right.
In our world.
That's true.
So what I see here, the reason that I'm here to create the opportunity.
Right.
I'm not here to take away the opportunity.
Right.
So, you know, to the brothers and sisters listening from Uganda, I believe in you. And if you believe in yourself, you can go a long way, you know, but you don't have to fit into the standards of others.
Right.
You know,
preach.
And I think that's probably the issue, right? Is people want to be like other people.
Right.
You know, people want to have, you know, and those things are fair, you know, but I think you have to look within first to create your world. You know, O'Shea came here and he's created his world. You know, he spoke about service and, you know, certain things that you've seen in Uganda, but that didn't stop you from doing your business.
Right.
You've created your business. Right. And that has your trickle down effect, being the government of your business,
right,
has trickled down to your staff. And, and people come to work smiling and happy.
They at least act like they're smiling. I don't know what they say.
So I think that's, you know, it's very trauma based, and if trauma based situations will leave you nearsighted.
Right.
Yeah. I do agree with you. You know what? When O'Shea came up with the topic, I was like, oh yeah. And then he went around and switched. And Zaid was saying there's no hope in Africa because of the trauma that people experience from their home country and whatnot. But at the end of the day, there's still no hope in Africa, honestly.
Okay. Why is that?
Yeah, I know. There's still no hope. It's and you can't say, oh, it's because of trauma. Well, it can be because of trauma. But at the end of the day, when you look at the systems in place, when you look at the people, when you look at what's happening, there's a Kenyan saying that says "kwa ground," uko kwa ground, like what's happening on the ground. Like you know, like you may be saying, oh, what's going on down there? But there's like someone down there telling you, oh, you know what's happening down here? It's hot. Okay, we're in hell. The bar is very low. Things are going bad. You know, so I don't think there's hope for Africa, honestly. I'm sorry for my people. There's just...
So you said something about systems in place, right? The systems in place here have been left by the colonizers.
Yeah.
Right? I was so shocked when I went to the Houses of Parliament and I went into, is it the House of Commons? Yeah. And it's exactly like the UK. They have Mr. Speaker. They have the different, you know, political parties. They all present,
the opposition, the other side,
right?
The ruling party.
And that's all a British system, right? So that British system has been put into place. And also, before the British got here, Uganda had an amazing system in place already to govern themselves, right? They didn't need colonizing. That's why it was so desirable for Britain to colonize Uganda. So the fallout from that and the aftermath of that is the British colonizers basically showed that it's beneficial to be greedy. Right, so all the government here, they are reading off a British playbook, and that it needs to be ripped up, scrapped, thrown in the fire, and go back to what it was before the Brits even got to Uganda. Because it's just created
It's a great point.
It's created greed. They're like, okay, this is how they did it. They got rich. This is blah, blah, blah. When I get into power, I'm going to do the same, and it's just been rinsed and repeated.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? Sorry. You know what? That's too risky. You know,
It's too risky.
we had systems in place before, but the systems didn't get us that far. I know someone's going to say I'm out here praising the white man and whatnot. Yeah, but you look at it, they came in place and they put in some systems that are now used, and you can see that, you know, these systems have gotten us somewhere.
Right.
So if you'd say, oh, take away those systems, we'll crumble.
You think?
Because this is all we've known.
Let me just say this.
For a period of time.
Yeah.
So Uganda is diverse. So regions are not universal, or the Choli people don't do the same thing that the Buganda does. But I mean, I just want to talk about, that was a great point. But again, let me kind of get to Botswana. They're the only country that I know that rules on traditional law, more or less. They have the same system of democracy, but they rule more on the way that our people ruled in the past in that region. So I think that definitely helps in the government. What you're saying, I don't disagree with that, because, you know, some people have a problem with the blonde wigs of those in the Zimbabwean courts, and I get that. But at the end of the day, when I first came to Uganda in 2017, I saw a lot of white people and Chinese on the plane coming from Ethiopia to Uganda. And so my first thought was, man, why are all these Chinese people coming here? I mean, and I don't know if they were like big businessmen, I doubt it, but these seems like normal people looking for an opportunity. So the reason why there's not an opportunity in Africa, because the systems are where they are, but Uganda is not communist. It is a free market. There's no real free market in the world, because, and shout out to the brother that told me that, because governments are involved in free markets without government, right?
Taxes got to be paid.
Yes, but it's as close to a free market as ever. And what happens is Uganda has opportunities. Nigeria has opportunities. And Kenya has opportunities. Before there were roads in America, somebody created the Model T, which was Henry Ford. And then the money from that created the roads. So I think the opportunities are what you tell yourself. If you say there are opportunities in Africa, then they're not. If you say, I can't do this, then you're not. I mean, because plenty of people told me to come to Uganda. Hey, bro, go to Ghana because we have more African Americans there. You do better there. Don't go to Uganda. And I got to tell myself, I can't go to Uganda. So I think the thing is that, you know, it is going to be tougher to do things anywhere in the world. But at the end of the day, you know, look at the story that we hear from this guy. I always see him, Kabira, Sudir. This, I mean, that guy had he got kicked out of the country because of who he was. And he came back with 25,000 pounds. And look at what he did. But how do you not do that if you don't see opportunity? As blacks, we don't like to see opportunity with each other. And that's the one thing. We serve everybody else but each other. And that's why you don't see podcasts even like us in Africa, because we don't want to create nothing for us. We don't. I mean, it's the truth. And so I know people who will turn down the black dollar. It's the same value as the white dollar. I don't even want to deal with Negroes' money. It could be even more. So with us, it's a retraining, because every group that is somewhere in the world right now, Chinese people, 30, 40 years ago, when nobody speaking Mandarin, now everybody speaks Mandarin. Because the Chinese said, hey, we're gonna take care of our own people. And that's why China is what it is. But the blacks, we give each other the excuse to not do that. And it's a mindset that we just have to adopt. And even though it is traumatic, once we start serving our people, we're gonna have more millionaires. We're gonna have more people, doing things like that. But the thing is, if other people see this opportunity there, why don't you? And you got to do the work. Again, it always comes down to that. Blacks would like to say, because the opportunity is equivalent to what your effort is. So if you don't want to do the work, ain't no opportunity there. But if you do, and I'm gonna say this, dare I say, there's opportunity in Black America. There's opportunity anywhere if you want to do it.
But the thing is, my reference point is my boy Mos, big up Mos Optin, dope graphic designer.
Yeah.
Right. He works hard.
I believe it.
He every morning he's 6 a.m. He's at NASA Road in the office with his boys, doing the most he can to better himself. But some days he's just there and he's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm 12-hour days and so on and so forth. So I can understand why someone like my brother Mos would get down on it.
No, I get that.
You know what I'm saying? But also at the same time, if he keeps going, he's gonna get that gig. That's gonna elevate him and take it to another level. Like when things elevate here and whatnot, and we need interior design, I'll introduce you to him because the guy is just, I'll show you some of his work. It's just different level. And that's why I said what I did in that episode, because it breaks my heart, because Mos is the single reason probably why, one, I got all like the gigs I did in the early days, because he understood the Kampala crowd in a way I didn't. I just moved here.
Right.
So he made my flyers pop.
Okay.
And he was the guy that was like, maintain, you're on a boda, tuck your chain in, bro. Maintain, I saw you in Kabbalah at 2 a.m. rolling on your own, trying to get a Rolex. You can't do that, bro. People recognize you now.
Yeah.
They see you DJ, Maintain, why are you carrying your controller on the back of a boda with your laptop? Like, this guy navigated
Right.
life for me. So when you're with someone like that and you see them doing all the right things to be successful, and he comes to see me sometimes and he's just down. Right. It just hits different, and it's just, I just hope, he just keeps going and he gets what he deserves, basically.
Have you had that experience? I mean, because sometimes I feel like there's no hope in Africa as a foreigner. But what about you? Like, have you had down experiences here? You feel like ain't no hope?
I'm not gonna say not having hope. Of course, there's been bad experiences like I've experienced anywhere else. But
yeah, true.
I see the hope. Like, that's why I'm here.
What's the hope that you see?
I just see
what's the hope that you see that you feel like maybe the local person doesn't see, or somebody like him doesn't see?
Well, I started out this conversation by speaking on creating your world. Right. Creating what it is that you want for yourself. Right. Now that's more difficult for others to comprehend. Okay. But that is what I believe. You can create what you want to become. And I just really believe that. Taking a step back though, once the colonizers dangled the carrot for us, that's when things really started to change. I know you spoke about, the old kingdom and maybe it wasn't appeasing for everybody. But that was a start to something. But once the colonizers came and said, hey, you can have this if you just follow this carrot. Right. Everybody to me got lost from that point. Okay. But I don't think that means there's no hope for today. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things that need to change. Yeah. For sure. I mean, you look at the money trail as a businessman, you follow the money, and you look at all the banks in Uganda. And who owns these banks? Who created the shilling? You know, these are questions that Ugandans themselves should ask themselves. You know, but if you're just gonna accept everything that is thrown your way,
Right.
then there's nothing to fight for.
Okay.
You've accepted what is given to you.
Sellout.
Is that what you are?
Oh,
No.
Okay.
Wow. But speaking, I know.
I can't wait to hear the sound effect on that one.
She doesn't want to go to America.
The biggest sellout to the podcast. But anyway, speaking of hope, I'm like maintaining, I sit on the fence a lot. So on the other side, I do believe that there's hope for Africa, because I feel like this is a growing economy, and it's an economy with like young people with ideas and all that. If all goes well, there's hope in Africa.
Oh, sky's not even.
Yeah,
the
the
limit.
sky. It's amazing.
It's
It's amazing what's in the future, what's going to happen. You know, when I say there's no hope in Africa, it's not like dun.
Like I see hope. That's why I am addressing the issue. You know, like I'm saying this because I see it with my own eyes. Even here, when I come to film podcast episodes, everybody here is so on point, right? And that goes all over. I can only speak about Kampala. That's where I live. I see that all over the capital, but it's just not enough opportunity at present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think about I think about the creation of bark clothing.
Yeah.
And how amazing, like that's mind blowing to me.
Yeah, bark cloth.
That
blew my
happened
mind,
here. You
What
know?
is that?
It's like a traditional wear for Baganda.
Yeah.
Not the traditional wear, it's like the
Yeah.
describe it.
So I do believe that we have the resources right here, guys. There's a reason why the Germans are coming to pick up guys to work over there.
Yeah.
There's a reason. So until we can believe and look within,
Yeah.
we there's no hope in that. If we can't look within and grow with each other, what are we doing? We can't.
Let me just see, like, I want to just build on that. I won't hold us too long, but when I saw a Nigerian lady who lives in Luxembourg, and you know, these are people who love like Nigeria, and she was just talking about how it fit in Luxembourg. Have you been there before?
I haven't known.
Yeah, Luxembourg, and I don't even like Europe all like that, but I went to Luxembourg. I think I talked to Rachel when I was in Luxembourg. Remember that, Rachel? I thought I was drunk. I called Rachel for like 8 hours a day. And I was like, Rachel, I'm not coming back, babe. I'm just the manager of the team. I like Luxembourg. It was very efficient, you know. And what I feel like, people love Africa. But then there's a saying, right? You ever heard of, this is Uganda? Or, you know, people say that like, something bad happens to you, this is Uganda, you know. That's Africa. Like, it's not going to change. And the question that people need to know is when. So, you know, I was talking to you, I called you the other day. We had a shoot. So I said, you know, because the podcast has been doing good numbers. Patrick, give him a round of applause in the audience, right? And so I was telling, hey man, a lot of people starting to know you. And he's like, wow, that's great. And we had some people come over and they're going to be on the podcast soon. But the diaspora is looking for, like, you know, who's going to be the person or the groups of people to add value so that our people can help us. And then that is, helping Black people is a hard job. It's a thankless task. So in order for there to be hope, it's like the story of Christ. Like, somebody has to die so everybody else can live. And the problem with people who've been suffering so long is like, man, I don't want to be that person. You know, like, we love Malcolm X, but do you want to be him? You know what I mean?
How he ended up, you mean?
Yeah. Or nobody wants to be the person, the groups of people to like sacrifice for the next generation or be that first frontier. And to be real, for the opportunities in the Black world, somebody has to die so that somebody else can live. It's the truth. And we don't want to discuss that. Somebody got to come to here and do that. Like, I talk to people all the time. In the diaspora, we need help. So people, like, I see people all the time that wouldn't have even come to Uganda, but because of this channel, which sometimes you don't even think nobody watches it and nobody gives up on. I was done with this channel, right? Till you meet somebody on the street like Dr. Julia, it's like, I thank you for the podcast or something like that. Or you just see somebody in the mall like, hey, bro, I came here because I saw you.
Yeah.
But then who wants to be the frontier? And that's the thing is, we need to, a lot of the governments in Africa, you're saying, bring your resources and come back to Africa, to diaspora. And you have people that's got nice homes in London, nice homes in New York. And then here, you don't have a job offer. You have to be the person that wants to be the business person, build a team, hire the team, train the team. People, are not going to be at the same level all the time as those in the States. So it's a lot of sacrifice that you need to do just as somebody else can participate. And there's hope if somebody is willing to sacrifice. But a lot of folks in Africa and they come from this and been living in Canada for years, they don't want to die on the cross. They have kids, right? You know what I mean? People have families. And that's the thing. In order for there to be hope, somebody has to die on that cross. And right now, that's us. I mean, are people like us? We're the ones that's, hey, on the backs. And even times like you have people in the government like, oh yeah, can you do this for us? Stuff like that. But those in the governments, they don't have the same experiences as us because they live a different life. You know what I mean?
Completely different.
So they don't have the experience of the local person or maybe the diaspora person. So in order for there to be hope, you need a whole bunch of people sacrificing for just like our community in the Caribbean, like Rosa Parks and those people, they suffer so that my granddad had a third grade education.
Here talking on
if it wasn't for people like my granddad, I wouldn't have been able to go to medical school or go to college, but because of his work, he went to school to third grade. But in order for there to be hope in Africa, you still need people to still suffer and sacrifice for the next generation to come through. And don't nobody want to do that. And I can understand why, but who wants to die on that cross?
It's true.
Anybody want to die on that cross for the next generation? Nobody gonna say yes.
Yeah, nobody. The thing is, right? Nobody will say yes, but the dangers of what you do, right? If you want to make way for the new generation, right?
Yes.
No one's gonna say, "Oh, yeah, I'm willing to die for it," but there's a chance you might.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the mindset for me, at least, anyway, and at present for some people. But I just hope that in the near future, people, the government in Uganda, see value and strength in the young nation and empower them to bring them up. Because at the end of the day, it's about taxes, right? They want more people to pay taxes so they can have more money to build infrastructure, etc. So if you empower like young people into that way of thinking, you're gonna get the money you want. You're gonna get the more taxes you want, and then you'll be able to like, okay, let's solar lights, more infrastructure, etc. But it's very short-sighted. They don't see that. It's just grab now. My family's good.
That's all over Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you think this whole...
Yeah.
You want to add to that before we close?
Just each one teach one, each one reach one, man. That's how we build.
Perfect. This was insightful. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me at Chef Morley's Table. That's Chef Morley's Table, MALLYS.
Okay. Insane.
You can find me DJ Maintain on everything.
O'Shea?
O'Shea Duke. I just want to say thank you for having this discussion. Guys, we got a lot of work to do. We need a lot of help. Yeah, the diaspora. I mean, it's not going to be so many of us coming moving to Africa and all that stuff. But I mean, obviously, the diaspora, we need more assistance in the whole Black world. We need more Blacks just coming together, sharing ideas, and just making it, because the reinvestment into your communities anywhere in the Black world is going to do dividends.
Yes.
And we don't have that, and we don't have that anywhere in the Black world. That's we don't do that. So what do you expect to grow without reinvesting? Yeah, so that's all we have to say. Hopefully this podcast makes you think about that.
Yeah.
Makes you change your way of thinking, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure you follow us on all our social media platforms at Kenganda Nation. Subscribe to Kenganda, the YouTube channel, and subscribe to the Pan-African Dating Show. We'll see you guys next time.
Bless up.